10-4.
Pro Volleyball Federation is coming to Orlando. Ladies and gentlemen, we are the Orlando Valkyries.
On this picture-perfect evening in the City Beautiful, we welcome you to Orlando, Florida, into week 4 of Pro Volleyball Federation play here at Addition Financial Arena. Columbus taking on the Orlando Valkyries as we welcome you courtside. Hi there, everybody. I'm Sean Davison alongside the beach volleyball All-American at Florida State, Madison Fitzpatrick. And Madison, as we take a look at this matchup here tonight, Columbus checks in at 0-1. They haven't played in 3 weeks, though. Orlando's 1-2, but they played a whole lot better volleyball than that. Tonight, it's going to be critical for both.
Exactly, and the 1-2 record is not reflective of the talent on the team or the competition they've been putting in and day out. In week 1, they lost to Atlanta by 3 points in overtime in the 5th set, and then just this past week, they lost 16-14 by 2 points in the 5th set to Atlanta as well. So the difference between being 3-0 and 1-2 is just 5 points for them.
Now, Columbus, we mentioned they haven't played in a few weeks. They think they're going to look like an entirely different team here tonight, but they want Caitlin Horde to look just like she did in Grand Rapids.
Exactly. The 6'4" middle, Caitlin Horde. She's a 3-time All-American, a 5-time AVCA All-Region, and in her final season at Nebraska, she led the nation in blocks per set. In the Fury's first match, she recorded 8 kills and hit at a clip of 4.29. So in order for the Fury to take off quickly tonight, I'd look to them to run through Horde early and often.
Yeah, they're going to look for more offense. Fortunately for them, their defense looked pretty solid in Grand Rapids, and the anchor of that defense was Valeria Leon.
Leon, this libero, was recently named the best libero of the Puerto Rican League in 2023. Before her 6 years playing pro, she spent her college years at Ohio State, where she became the program leader in total digs. She's coming off a team-high 13 digs last match, and coach actually called her the best player in their last match.
Now, she's going to have her hands full with a couple of Orlando's pin hitters, one of which, Adora and I, is the reigning Pro Volleyball Federation Player of the Week.
And there is little question why. Versus the Vegas Thrill, she recorded 13 kills, 2 blocks, and 3 aces to lead Orlando to its first victory of the season. Then, fast forward 2 days versus Atlanta, she soared to even higher heights, recording 26 kills, 14 digs, and 3 aces. A nice stoic confidence and consistency at the pen leaves little doubt why she is the hot hands for the Valkyries.
She can soar, she can score, so too can Jill Gillen.
Jill Gillen's springy youth creates the perfect outside hitter tandem with the Nye. Standing at 5'7", Gillen is nothing but large and in charge, touching over 10 feet when she attacks the ball. She's coming off of 17 kills and 21 digs, and the match before that, 14 kills, including the match winner.
Can't wait to see all of those players and their respective rosters on the floor tonight. First serve, moments away from Addition Financial Arena.
Our day has dawned. A new horizon is upon us. Inspired by the many who came before us,
together on a path to achieve something extraordinary.
Do you hear the groundswell? We are at the forefront of a revolution. Empowered, inspired, together. We didn't get here alone.
This is our responsibility. We are creating a new major league on the greatest stage volleyball has ever seen. Pro Volleyball Federation is real pro volleyball.
Now is our time.
Communities will come together.
History will be made.
We are one.
Today, we are inspired.
Today, the light shines on us,
Today marks the beginning of the next chapter.
and we're writing it together.
Rally with us!
NCAA women's volleyball will never be the same. Students of the game will study this era for generations. But we're only getting started. Sign up for pre-sale, news, and more at ncaa.com/volleyball.
We gonna take it, 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 gonna take it,
As we get set to get this matchup underway here in Orlando, Florida, we'll go ahead and take a look at the starting lineups here at Edition Financial Arena. We'll begin with the visiting Columbus Fury here, playing their second match of this Pro Volleyball Federation season. Reagan Cooper, Samantha Drexel, Caitlin Horde, who we've already talked about, Raynell Jones, Ray Santos, Maria Schlegel, and Valeria Leon. Meanwhile, for the Orlando Valkyries, it's Adora Anai, Kaz Brown, Jill Gillen, Shina Joseph. Georgia Murphy will be wearing the libero jersey for the Valkyries, Wilma Rivera, and Michaela White, all getting the starting nod here against Columbus. The crowd continuing to make themselves felt here at Edition Financial Arena. Always great energy here, Madison.
Exactly. I love the energy week in and week out. The Orlando community, they absolutely love the Valkyries. And they put on quite the show every single week, so no doubt it's going to be entertaining, and I love that the fans come out each week.
They're being introduced to the starters just like we introduced all of you at home to the starters here at Edition Financial Arena. Still plenty of pre-match ceremonies to come here before we get this matchup underway here in week 4 in Orlando. We'll step aside and come back to get this match going at Edition Financial.
Our day has dawned.
A new horizon is upon us.
Inspired by the many who came before us, together on a path to achieve something extraordinary.
Do you hear the groundswell? We are at the forefront of a revolution. Empowered, inspired, together. We didn't get here alone.
This is our responsibility. We are creating a new major league on the greatest stage volleyball has ever seen. Pro Volleyball Federation is real pro volleyball.
Now is our time.
Communities will come together.
History will be made.
We are one.
Today, we are inspired.
Today, the light shines on us,
Today marks the beginning of the next chapter.
and we're writing it together.
The starters have been introduced, the anthem has been sung, and the Fury and the Valkyries have found the floor here on the campus of UCF. What a great night for volleyball here in the heart of the Sunshine State. Orlando, who feels like they're building towards something. They've had a couple of tough luck losses in their first three matches, have a chance to right the ship and get the thing back going in a direction that they feel like they should be going and that they completely are capable of going. Madison, Columbus, this is going to be a litmus test for them, having not played for 3 weeks.
Exactly. So they lost their opening match, and then they had 3 weeks to go back to the drawing board, regroup, practice a bunch. Coach says he's looking for a different team to come out here tonight. He's very confident in his players. He said they took the game, they digested it, and found what they lacked in, found what they did well in, and are building from there.
The Fury, if you will, kind of lumped that first match at Grand Rapids in with their preseason prep, almost like a ramp up to the meat of their schedule, with that match being so isolated. A chance to line up against somebody else and see what you've got and then go back to the drawing board. And so this is where we're really going to see the rubber meet the road for them.
Exactly. Coach said they decided to take 8 weeks instead of 21 days to prepare their team. And now it's been 21 days, so I think we can see the full team, the full Columbus Fury on display tonight.
They've dealt with some injury issues early on, some illnesses as well. We'll touch on all of that. Orlando certainly has run into a few different issues, including to Wilma Rivera, who had a hand injury in the Valkyries' last match against Atlanta. She's good to go. She's back to serve here at Addition Financial Arena as we get set to get this thing going. We are underway at Addition Financial Arena, and Rivera misses the sideline, a service error to start. Point Columbus.
And the Valkyries really do go for their serves every single time. They're very aggressive. A lot of them jump topspin, and when you jump topspin, you have a higher risk to error.
Yeah, high risk, high reward as Caitlin Horde goes back and floats that one into play. Out to the pin. There's Adore Anai, number 14 in white, going off speed over the block. Second effort for Anai. That one misses the sideline. Wasn't touched either, and a 2-0 start here for Columbus.
And that swing, Anai didn't have her full approach in front of her. She's got a heavy arm. She's very powerful, but as a pin hitter, you do your best and you swing your best when you have your full approach and all that momentum moving forward. She was just a little too far off the net on that swing.
Horde will serve it in once again. That's a service error. Point right back to the Valkyries. 2-1, Columbus out of the gates. And it'll be Anai who rotates to the back row for Orlando.
Anaya player who her head coach Amy Pauley told us, dynamic scorer. You go back to her college days, she could score in bunches. She went overseas to begin her pro career, and that's what they asked her to do, is score over and over and over again. Go up there, bash some balls, and be our primary point scorer. Working in the back row is something that she's still getting used to.
Exactly. She's definitely working through getting all those reps in the back row, and they utilize her back row attack because she's so comfortable swinging. They utilize her in the back row as well.
Shaina Joseph gets the swing off the opposite pin for Orlando. That just cleared the block by Wentz. Off speed, and that'll find the floor. Columbus throwing in the changeup, if you will. Everybody here can hit it plenty hard. That off-speed tip finds the floor 4-1.
And that was a good move by Santos, feeling that middle block, not fronting her. The middle block was waiting for Asia O'Neal, and she took advantage of it. She's very offensive-minded, a very experienced setter, 9 years pro. We're going to see Santos get involved offensively definitely throughout this match.
Another service error by the Fury. Both of Orlando's early points here in this opening set have come via Columbus service errors. That'll send Michaela White back to serve. And that's a service error for MK as well. It's contagious here early on.
Yeah, definitely, and there are nerves when you start a match, but I do want to point out last match, the Valkyries did have 15 missed serves in comparison to 5 aces. They're going to look to try and stay in that 1-to-1 ratio more so this match.
Out to the pin, there's Jill Gillen, and Orlando has their first kill of the match from number 10 in white.
Jill Gillen has some serious hang time. When Valkyries are in system, they like to run a fast set to Jill all the way out to the pin. We said in the open she's coming off 17 kills and 21 digs. She is just heating up.
A vert of 30 inches for Jill Gill. Shaina Joseph just misses the end line. That's another service error by Orlando.
Definitely a high risk, high reward serve. Your toss has to be perfect. Your hand contact has to be perfect. Your approach has to be perfect. The topspin is an elite serve.
Great to see Asia O'Neal back on the floor. We were told she was a game time decision. The two-time national champ at Texas had ankle surgery back in December. And so now back on the floor. 5 weeks into her rehab, she's good to go.
She's a back-to-back national champion, a 2-time first-team All-American. She set records at UT for career blocks. She's a legendary player, and that's fantastic for the Fury that she's back and able to play.
Orlando has seen enough, though. They trail by 4. They call a timeout early on here in set 1 in Orlando.
We gonna take it, gonna take it, gonna take it, gonna take it, From club step of the way.
We're set to get back underway here after an early Orlando timeout. Columbus leading it 7-3 here in set 1. Asia O'Neal set to serve it in once again. It's a good one, and Orlando is out of system. That ball sent over on 2. And out there at the pin, great to see Megan Courtney Lush checking in. She missed their match at Grand Rapids. She fell ill, had to go to the hospital, so didn't get a chance to play in that one, and she's making an impact early here.
Yep, she's a 7-year pro, and Coach Perez called her the epitome of the league, so it's definitely good to see her back and healthy and playing tonight.
Asia O'Neal back to serve once again. Good service rotation for O'Neal, and that's good offense for Orlando. They love to send Brown out on the slide.
They do love to send Brown out on the slide. She's really good in front, but they run a quick slide Brown does a good job getting her feet there and swinging down the line, snapping on that ball.
8-4 in favor of Columbus. Jill Gillen back to serve. Courtney Lesh goes off speed over the block. Kaz Brown once again.
And Kaz Brown is running behind Caitlin Horde, Columbus's middle, not tracking that set. And not able to get there, and you see there's a seam, there's an open gap in the block, and Kaz Brown takes advantage.
Another service error by Orlando. They are piling up in a hurry.
That's their 5th service error. That is more than half of Columbus's points so far.
Rice Santos back to serve. Anai with a big swing, tries to clean up the overpass. Instead, Columbus responds with a kill of their own. Ashley Wentz.
That was a great area of the court to swing for Wentz. Deep, almost to the back line. She contacts that ball at a very high point. Really high vantage point over the net.
Wentz, who had not played competitive indoor volleyball since her college career at Ohio State a handful of years ago. That's her once again, number 13 in red. Anai, dug up by Leon. Courtney Lush kept up by Gillen. Anai off speed over the block. That's kept up. What a rally. Out of system ball, Wentz off the block. Murphy got to it for a second. That's another kill for Columbus.
And throughout the Pro Volleyball Federation, throughout these weeks, we've seen longer rallies, and that's just because the defense on both sides of the net are so elite, so experienced at tracking that ball, crashing in, digging up the tips, lining in on the angles, digging those hard drivens. We're going to see longer rallies here tonight as well.
11-5 for the Fury. Back set Brown off speed, that'll count. And Orlando will gladly take it at this point.
And that's what it takes to be an elite attacker in the middle or at the pins. You can bang balls, you can swing straight down, but you have to have a wide arsenal of offense. And Kaz Brown right there, very experienced seeing the open hole.
Brown herself now goes to the back row to serve it in. There's a stuff block, Michaela White. That has also been a calling card for Orlando. That block has been dynamic and dominant at times here early this season.
Michaela White is very athletic. She moves very dynamically, like you said, across the net. And then the timing is there, the press is there. Everything was done right in that block.
2.21 blocks per set through the first 3 matches, and that is tremendous offense in response by Columbus, running the middle attack.
And I think it's really important for Columbus to establish that middle attack early, to hold Orlando's middles on them. And right there, running it very well. Caitlin Horde identifying the block and swinging away from it.
Anai gets to it on serve receive. Wentz off the block. Joseph ran into Gillen. Anai just shoves it over. Now it's dug up and out of play. Another point to the Valkyries, who are within 4.
I do want to give credit to Leon on that dig. It was a pretty sharp tip, but she read it really well. You can see she's got 6 years of professional experience. She's very tactile, very smart on defense.
There's the head coaches, Amy Pauley and Angel Perez, looking on from their respective sidelines. Still early goings. Joseph tips that back to Columbus. Wentz off speed, picked up by Murphy. Now here's Joseph, big swing off the block. Back row attack! Count it! Courtney Lush has her fingerprints all over this first set.
And Courtney Lush wanted that set, calling for it in the back row. That's one of the advantages of the setter being back row. She's got 3 attackers in the front and 1 in the back. Tons of options for offense.
Gillen plays that ball up on serve receive, and I goes to work on the pin. Back row off speed. Misconnection there. And point to the Valkyries.
And that was actually 2 setter-hitter misconnections in a row. That first set for Jill Gill in the back row, just a little too in front of that 10-foot line. She really had to reach. She couldn't swing on that. And then the second one, just a rare misconnection between Santos and O'Neill.
These teams trading points. Columbus still leads it by 4, now 13-9. Great pass off the jump top spin, and there you have it. When you get a nice in-system pass, it just opens that offense wide up. Asia O'Neill, the beneficiary, number 7 in red.
And Asia O'Neill is so incredibly athletic. Starting in front, running behind. It's a quick set. Orlando's block not able to keep up in front her.
And Orlando runs the middle right back. Michaela White with the kill.
And that's what we see when teams are in system. They're able to run their entire offense. They can set the pins, the back row, the middle. And teams are a lot more effective when that first pass is in control into the setter.
White, who never touched a volleyball till she was 16, didn't play competitively till she was 17, went to be an all-conference player at JMU and has just taken off as a pro. There's another side out by Columbus. Their offense has looked impressive here early on, Madison.
It really has, from the middle and the pins. That was Reagan Cooper. Coach actually said she has one of the highest roofs on the team, which means her ceiling is so high. She has so much room to grow. And you see there, she's got some ups on her too.
It'll be Cooper going back to serve. And part of discovering that ceiling, if you will, is going to be the back row work. They're going to stick with her back there, even though she might not be the most comfortable. And the reason why they're going to do that is because you just might get results like that. No way to build confidence, I should say, than to put you back there and see what you can do, and there's an ace serve.
Exactly. Coach told us that in college she didn't play back row. She was only a front row player. Now she's playing 6 rotations, so she's getting those extra reps on defense and from the service line, and it's looking like it's paying off right now.
And just like that, the Fury open up a 6-point lead here in set number 1, 16-10. Cooper serves it in once again. Audi Cruz picks it up on serve, receive. There's a stuff block by the Fury. Asia O'Neill once again inserting herself right into the equation.
And credit to Courtney Lush, setting that block in the perfect location and then turning her hands into the court, blocking it straight down.
You're right, that was Courtney Lush who got in there for the solo stuff. So some kills and now a solo block for Courtney Lush. Welcome back to action. Orlando desperately needs a side out. They go to Audi Cruz. Asia O'Neill off a tight slide. That ball set real tight to the tape. Shina Joseph tried to tip it over. It was rejected by Columbus. I think Amy Pauley wants to challenge what went on there at the net.
Yep, I think she's trying to challenge it now. Yep.
All right, Madison, what do you see here?
They're going to challenge if there was a net touch. From this point of view, I can't see it. But
Now,
Orlando they were pretty confident that she was in the net.
Now, it's worth mentioning that each team gets 2 challenges per set. And it appears there was, in fact, a net touch right there. That's courtesy of Bolt 6 technology, 22 high-def cameras all around Addition Financial Arena, providing angles such as that almost microscopic how tight those cameras can get, so you have no doubt at all whether or not the call is correct or whether or not it needs to be overturned. If you are successful in your challenge attempt, you keep it. If you are unsuccessful, you lose it, and then you get 2 more in the next set.
So they're going to say that Shaina Joseph was in the net with her hand, and therefore it's Columbus's point.
Eight-point lead for Columbus, and there's Kaz Brown. That's a 7:29 p.m. wake-up call. That was sharp, and it came in hot.
Let's see the replay. Kaz Brown coming in, hitting that ball at its highest point, snapping on it, and it's like a bullet straight at the libero, catching her a little high. She wasn't able to dig it up, but that's when the Valkyries are at their best, when they're running through their middles, and then that frees up their pins.
7-point lead for Columbus. Paula Sarame checks in. And quickly siding out in transition is Columbus' Reagan Cooper.
And I tell you what, this is definitely a different Columbus team than the one that played 3 weeks ago. They're running such a smooth and consistent offense. In their first match, they hit 0-7, and now their efficiency is so much better. They've been doing some good practice.
Kaz Brown once again with another kill. Brown has had a decent first set here, despite the fact that it's been all Columbus for the most part, Madison.
Exactly, I'd say so. She's 5 for 5. She's hitting perfect right now. It's a good decision by Wilma to run through her.
Audi Cruz goes back to serve for Orlando. Wentz off the block and down.
And this is what I mean by running their full offense. Santos is spreading out the ball so well. Each player getting a chance to score, and that's creating some chaos. The block on Orlando's side is having trouble reading the set, tracking it, and then moving from there.
Tight pass. Rivera tried to dump it over on two. It goes back to Orlando, and Anai tools the block. Point to the Valkyries.
And Anai is one of those players that has such a heavy arm that even if there is two blockers right in front of her, she's very experienced. She can tool off high hands.
Another terrific pass by Columbus. Anai off the edge of the block and down.
The range of Anai is absolutely incredible. The swing before that, she tooled off the high hands. Now we see a swing that is so sharp, it is almost a cut shot. Tooling the block and going straight down. She hits all the angles.
There's Orlando's block once again. Columbus keeps it off the floor. And there's Anai, that's 3 in a row.
When Anai gets hot, Anai gets hot. And we talked about this with Coach Perez before the game. He said his right side blockers, his pin blockers, are going to have to be on her, fronting her. And we see there in the middle, that block for Columbus just a little too late.
That'll put an end to the Valkyries' run. A service error, point right back to Columbus. And here comes Megan Courtney Lush rotating to the back row. Orlando starting to gain some traction offensively. There's Michaela White putting that ball down to cut the lead down to 5.
And that also shows how athletic Michaela White is. She passed that ball off of serve receive and then was in the air calling for that set and then got the kill. That definitely feels good as a middle. You don't see that very often.
Wilma Rivera launches, and that's an ace serve for Wilma. A decided shift in momentum, but can Columbus slam the door and get these final 4 points before Orlando keeps it rolling? The lead has been as large as 8. It's down to 4. Rivera serves it in and out.
And I kind of glazed over it before, but in volleyball, you want a 1-to-1 ratio. If you have a missed serve, you want to get an ace. Wilma Rivera doing just that.
Ivania Ortiz subs in to serve for the Fury. 2 years of college volleyball at Hofstra, then began her pro career in Puerto Rico. Out to the right pin, there's Shaina Joseph. Wentz dug up by Murphy. Nice up. Anai's going to want a touch call and got it.
And that was a smart decision by Anai, swinging high into the hand. She could feel that set was a little low. Wilma Rivera had to set that from her knees. But first of all, the dig from Georgia Murphy, so elite, high hands, digging the ball to her setter. And then Adora Anai, just so experienced, knowing how to tool the block.
It's Anai now going to the back row. Another great first ball contact by Columbus. They are passing on serve receive at a tremendous level, Madison.
Their first ball contact is so extremely clean right now, and credit to Asia O'Neal pulling Michaela White with her. She ran behind the setter, Michaela White stayed with her, and then that freed up Reagan Cooper at the pin for a one-on-one situation.
Reagan Cooper, who began her college career at Washington State, then several years at Texas Tech, finished up at Kansas, and now is a member of the Fury. Off to a good start here. Her whole team is, in fact. Off speed, that is sniffed out and put down in a hurry. Shaina Joseph says, no ma'am.
And Shaina Joseph is one of those players that we see growing by leaps and bounds every single match. Last match, it was her defense that really shined. She had 19 digs, and then we see there with the block, waiting, holding, and shot blocking that one.
Once again, the last player off the floor during serve and pass today was Shaina Joseph. There's Reagan Cooper going back to work and proving that high ceiling comment was accurate. Set points coming now for Columbus.
It's a great down the line swing, perfect placement by her. That could not be more in the corner and down the line.
And so Cooper heads back to serve. 24-19, a handful of set points, in fact, for the visiting Fury. And Orlando gets that side out start they need, but no margin of error now for the Valkyries, who enter the red zone themselves.
And if you're Orlando, you can still come back, but if not, you want to chip away and gain some momentum and some confidence for the next set.
Joseph goes to the jump top spin. Kept it in. O'Neal off the slide. Rivera digs it out. This will be an out-of-system ball for Cruz. Point to Orlando. What'd you see there, Madison?
I'm actually not sure. And I think there's going to be a timeout called. From up here, I'm actually not sure what happened. It looked like both blocks went up. It looked clean from here.
So timeout by Columbus. We'll take another look. Orlando, for the moment, has trimmed the lead down to 3. It looks like one of those blockers' foot might have been across the line underneath the net.
And like I said, if you're Orlando, you want to keep chipping away. You want to gain momentum and confidence for the next set. For the first 2 home games for them, they've gone to 4 and they've gone to 5. So they like to push it extra. But they're going to try and come back these next 3 points. And of course, you want to take it in 3, but they're very comfortable playing in 5th and 4th sets.
Still set point for Columbus. Reagan Cooper has led the charge. 4 kills and an ace serve for Cooper. Orlando needs a run off of Shaina Joseph, who has put in a lot of work tightening things up as a server. Has come leaps and bounds, gets that one in play. And that's a misconnection. Santos and Asia O'Neal were not on the same page there, and Orlando will gladly take it.
And you can imagine that probably happens because Asia O'Neal has been out a little bit with injury, so they haven't been able to rep out that chemistry and rep out that setter-hitter connection as much as they need to.
Another one in play. This time, nice pass over on 2 by Santos. Orlando goes back row. And they'll get a free ball opportunity. On the slide, Brown!
Kaz Brown is automatic. Throughout this first set, every time it gets set to her, she has put that ball away. Seeing the arms of the blockers swinging high and long, deep down the line, getting the Orlando Valkyries up to 1 point away from tying it.
Another timeout called by Columbus, who again, folks, if you're just tuning in, it is worth mentioning, they led by as many as 8 here in this opening set. Orlando started shifting things, and they have now erased 4 match points. They sided out, they've strung together several since, and Columbus has burned both of their timeouts here just in the last 5 or so minutes.
Volleyball is a game of momentum. Points kind of get coupled together like this because you get into a rhythm, you get into a flow. I like to call it the flow zone. Whenever everything is working, it's kind of like your body just takes over. And it's almost like you can do no wrong, and sometimes those couple together, and Orlando's experiencing that right now.
And how about Joseph, who had a handful and a half of service errors in Orlando's franchise opener, who has really, as I mentioned earlier, taken a lot of pride and taken a lot of time to work on it. She goes back to serve once more. Again in play, strong serve by Joseph. Courtney Lush had it blocked. A huge stuff. Guess who? Kaz Brown once again.
Kaz Brown tracks that ball so well, holding, waiting, tracking, and then Wilma Rivera set that block, perfectly, timed it perfectly, and then Kaz Brown got there, pressed her arms over the net, and got the stuff block, no covering that one.
The winner of this point will have set point. O'Neal puts it down. A gritty response for the first-year pro.
Asia O'Neal absolutely thrives in high-pressure situations like this in big arenas. She's a back-to-back national champion. She just played on the biggest stage in college volleyball. She looks very comfortable and confident out there.
Another set point for Columbus. Their 6th of the set. That's long. And it'll be Audi Cruz going back to serve. We're going beyond 25. First to 25, win by 2 for sets 1 through 4. We're tied up at 25. That's long. Rai Santos and the Fury once again stand at set point. That one's in play. Played up by Anai, who transitions out of it. Dug up and over the net. Back bump by Rivera. Anai off the block. Point Columbus.
And on that, they're going to say that Kaz Brown contacted the ball over the plane of the net, over onto Columbus's side. You hate to see a set end like that, but what a fight from both teams.
Certainly so. Columbus saw all their set points erased, earned a couple more, and find a way to cash it in. 27-25 on the road at Addition Financial Arena. What a start to this one. was set one any fun as we come back for set two to the City Beautiful here in Orlando, Florida. Columbus coming on the road, just the second match in Fury franchise history, and they win set one, 27-25 here at Edition Financial Arena. Sean Davison, Madison Fitzpatrick, our entire crew on hand here in the heart of the Sunshine State. Madison, what stood out to you from set one?
Well, from Orlando's side, they had 8 service errors. They really need to work on bringing those numbers down. That's a good chunk of the game. And then from Columbus's side, Santos distributed the ball evenly and with a lot of situational awareness. She knew when to set the back row. And overall, the efficiency is up for Columbus, which is kind of what they lacked in game one. They've definitely upped that. Those 3 weeks of practice is looking great on them.
Yeah, combined 12 service errors in that first set. 4 for Columbus, 8 for Orlando. And when each team got into their offense, Madison, Columbus hit 280, Orlando hit 300.
Exactly. So when the ball is in play and it's in system for Orlando, they know how to run a fast and efficient offense. But it's really from behind the service line where the problems are lying.
So set one goes to the Fury. The first set they have won in franchise history. Their previous match was a straight sets loss at Grand Rapids. So they took that one on the chin. They went back to the drawing board, and so far, so good for the Fury, who send Ashley Wenz back to serve. It'll be Wenz to get us underway once again. Set two now. First to 25, win by 2 for the second set. Howdy Cruz with the first swing for Orlando. And there is Asia O'Neal getting the party started for Columbus, who, like in set one, jumps on the board first.
And Asia O'Neal doesn't just have a lot of power, she has a lot of range. Kaz Brown there closing that block, but Asia O'Neal hitting to the right side of her really sharp cross court.
Competitive serve there, but just long by Columbus. A service error donates the point right back to Orlando. And how about the job that Shaina Joseph did there? A whole bunch of set points down and helped Orlando claw their way back. That time missing the sideline, though, point to Columbus. And this is the way set one more or less started. Some missed serves piling up on both sides. Cooper now back to serve. That's in. Anai passes it up. And Kaz Brown tried to tip it, but missed the touch.
Kaz Brown running a quick slide, and that set just a little too high. Kaz Brown not able to tip it over the block and in.
3-1 Fury. Cruz in transition. Courtney Lush cross court, missed the sideline, point Orlando.
Courtney Lush really wanted to rip it there. There was a one-on-one situation. She saw all of that cross court open because the middle blocker wasn't there. So she ripped it cross, but just a little too much heat behind it.
Courtney Lush, who predominantly over the course of her pro career has been a libero, worked in the back row, getting some swings as an outside hitter, working her way back into that. Looked pretty good so far, and that's a nice looking swing as well. Reagan Cooper puts that one down.
And that was one of the things that Columbus did well in this first set, using Reagan Cooper in the back row. She didn't play 6 rotations in college, but she's looking more and more comfortable attacking from the back row as she continues to get reps.
On the slide, there's Kaz Brown. Wenz keeps that off the floor. Another in-system pass. Adora Anai will want a touch call, but will not get it. Point to Columbus.
And Adora Anai really rushed that. She transitioned off the net quickly, wanted to run that fast set, and then looking to tool off the hands, but just aired a little too far outside the court.
Angel Perez, who has represented Puerto Rico on the youth national team, also on the men's national team for a number of years. There's a shove and a point for Orlando.
Kaz Brown is one of those players where it doesn't really matter if her feet are there, if she's jumping. She has court awareness. She's got really good situational awareness. She can see where the defense is and place it perfectly.
That time going back to serve, just clearing the tape. Free ball opportunity here for Orlando. Wilma Rivera tried to put it down on second contact. Back row attack and a kill once again for Columbus.
And that was a smart decision by Santos. She was just front row, so she had only 2 attackers in the front row there with her. And she knows Cooper's been hot in the back row. It's a quick set. Cooper gets her feet there, has a nice long approach in front of her, and gets the kill.
Cooper averaged nearly 4 kills per set this past season as a Kansas Jayhawk. Shaina Joseph denied initially, kept it up off the floor, and Orlando sends the free ball over. Courtney Lush off speed. Joseph once again pancakes that ball up. Horde played up by Cruz. Tied to the net, Anai goes off speed with it. Back row, Cooper. Caught it!
Coach said Cooper's ceiling is high, and we are seeing it on full display tonight. Swinging cross-body. Painting that back corner. Shaina Joseph called it out, but it was in and perfectly placed. She's had a lot of success on the back row attack tonight.
I mentioned the numbers for Cooper at Kansas just this past NCAA season. There's an off-speed tip by Orlando. An important side out for the Valkyries. Wilma Rivera calling her own number. Going back to Cooper for a second. In the process of all those kills, she also hit .346. She was on the All Big 12 first team for the first time in her career this past year.
And she was a third-team All-American. It was kind of like she was heating up throughout her college career. And now she's here making a huge impact for the Fury.
It'll be Rivera going back to serve, a player who made a huge impact when she transferred to the University of Louisville. Drops in the ace serve. She was the best server at the World Olympic qualifiers, and she's been solid for the most part here to start this season. That ace drops in, and Orlando's within 2.
High risk, high reward, but she's actually very consistent with the serve.
Leon passes it up off serve, receive. Quality first touch there by Columbus, and they transition quickly to Horde for a kill.
Caitlin Horde, 8 kills in their first match. Hit .429, was the most efficient player for them. She sees the court really well. It's got a lot of power and a lot of range.
Back set, Shaina Joseph. Joseph, a member of the Canadian national team who had a decorated career at the University of Florida, was a national runner-up back in 2017, actually sat out a year at the University of Florida to compete in the Rio Olympics in 2016. And so Shaina Joseph, who's continued a pro career since that point, makes her way here to the Sunshine State. That's another service error by Orlando.
One of the things about Shaina Joseph that makes her so impressive is she has a lot of hang time. So when she has those gaps and those seams in the open block, she's gonna rip into that seam and swing pretty much straight down. They're working on her range out there.
I kid you not, it's just contagious.
It really is, and you have to appreciate that both teams are going for it, because you do know when either of these teams are in system and they can run their full offense, they're very lethal. But I would like to see it clean up a little bit from the service line.
That one caught the tape. Wentz looking sideline, missed it. Point to the Valkyries.
Wentz there trying to swing over Jill Gill, but aired a little too far outside down the line.
I mentioned Ashley Wentz did not play indoors since she wrapped up her college career at Ohio State. Actually did play a year of beach volleyball at Arizona State after that, but getting back in the flow of things here in the Pro Volleyball Federation. Shaina Joseph off the block. Here is Wentz tipping it over Orlando's blockers. Back row and an eye. Cooper with the shove. Point to Columbus, a net violation against Orlando.
That's one of those messy errors that you really want to limit as much as you can, because Orlando was basically just dealt a free ball where they could run their full and fast offense, but that error didn't allow them to.
Two-point lead for Columbus, 10-8 here in set two. The Fury winning set one, 27-25. Wenz serves it in. Joseph looking for the side out, dug up by Wenz. Cooper cross court, and I tracks it down. Wow!
And I don't know if the people at home know how difficult that ball is to attack, but you have to have so much body control. That ball coming from literally the back line over her shoulder. She had to time out her approach and hit that ball at its highest point. So many things had to go right to get that kill, and she did them all perfectly.
And Paula Surame will check in once again. This match, her first action here in the Pro Volleyball Federation, a player that Amy Pauley told us a few weeks ago, one of the speediest players she has ever seen. She goes to work with the jump top. Cooper dug up and out by Murphy.
It was a good read by Murphy, who saw the middle blocker not getting there in time. She read that angle swing, leaned into it well, but just wasn't able to control it on her side of the net.
Gillen off the block. And there's another kill for Jill Gill.
Jill Gill, the second Razorback in career history to record 2,000 career kills, all at the height of 5'7", but we talked about it before. It's her vertical and her athleticism that allows her to get so many kills and terminate that ball at such a high level.
And you mentioned the 21 digs as well. I know that's a service error, but she has also been rock solid for Orlando for the most part in the back row.
And we talked about it too. It's because she's had experience playing 6 rotations at Arkansas in college. She has a lot of reps as a 6 rotation player. So this transition to the Pro League was pretty seamless for her.
And when you're a 5'7" outside hitter, you're just not going to play 3 rotations, are you?
No, exactly. She's so well-rounded. And Arkansas, back this past season, kind of ran their system like that. They had a lot of 6 rotation players, and she was one of them, and obviously a standout. All SEC, led her team to the Elite 8.
Service error by Kaz Brown, and I think it's interesting, Madison. We talked with Angel Perez before this match, and he, of course, has a background in coaching at the professional level. A lot of the head coaches in this federation have been former collegiate coaches, and so he's seen what happens when collegiate players make the move into the pro ranks and they haven't played 6 rotations. He says there's a lot of that here, and when these players work through that, that's when the level of the federation is going to continue to rise.
Exactly, that was really well said. That's exactly what he said, and Reagan Cooper is a good example of that. Only played in the front row. Now she's getting more reps. She's learning the back row. And so I think the level of play is just going to continue to rise as those 6 rotation players continue to practice.
And the only way to get those reps is in live competition. Wow, look at that. Wilma Rivera just calling her shot and picking her spot on the sideline.
She places this ball perfectly. This is not on accident. You see her swinging through her entire body, dropping that pinky, pointing exactly where she wanted to serve that ball. It's like a pinpoint needle.
Nice pass by Leon. Out of the middle, dug up by Gillen. That was Horde swinging away. Now looking for the sideline. Anai got it.
Anai with all that range, and I have to give credit to Wilma Rivera falling off the net, but so experienced. She gets her feet there, has her body behind it, pushes it perfectly to the pin and right to Adora Anai's hand.
Santos has to go behind that 10-foot line to set Wenz at the pin. Less than ideal, and Wenz was rejected.
And a block like that is not just throwing your hands into the air. It's throwing your hands in the air, pressing. You see there Shaina pressing her hands over the net at the right time, putting that ball straight to the floor.
Well, 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 midway through set 2, we have a timeout on the floor, and we will take it with them here at Edition Financial Arena.
We gonna take it, 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 gonna take it,
Set 2 here at Edition Financial Arena. Columbus winning the first one, 27-25. Orlando at the midway media timeout, leading at 15-13 here in set 2. So glad to have you with us and thousands of our friends here at Edition Financial Arena. Sean Davison alongside the beach volleyball All-American at Florida State, Madison Fitzpatrick, as we take in the action between the Fury playing their second match in franchise history in Orlando, a team that could easily be 3-0 right now, who had a couple of match points against the Atlanta Vibe, and Atlanta had 4 set points against that same Vibe team in their franchise opener, not to be in that one. But they played solid volleyball for the most part to start this season, and they're looking to equalize things here a set apiece. That's Anai, who's been leading them offensively. And now back row attack for Jill Gillen, who's been right behind her, hot on her heels. Wenz had to wait on that set. Here's Shaina Joseph. She had it stuffed and rejected.
For all those kids out there, for all those middle blockers, take out a notebook and take notes. We have got a beautiful display of how to perfectly block a volleyball here tonight. Horde pressing at the right time. Wentz setting that block. The timing was there, the press was there. Look at those long arms over the net. And then they angle their arms into the court, angle those hands into the court for the block. We've seen a lot of solid net defense so far.
So off that media timeout, Columbus sides out immediately. Or do they? No action on the floor, so I have to imagine we might be waiting on a challenge here. I'm not sure. I didn't hear it. Oh, I think I see what's going on. It looks like the trainer is out taking a look at Georgia Murphy.
Yep, I think that's why there's a delay. Trainer and coach both went out there to talk to her. Saw her wiping her face a little bit. But it looks like she's good, and we resume.
So Murphy's good to go. She stays in. And it'll be Courtney Lush going back to serve. Two-time national champion at Penn State, the 2014 NCAA Championship Most Outstanding Player. Member of the national team for a number of years, and there's Michaela White, who in many ways just getting that pro career off the ground with a quick kill out of the middle for Orlando.
And this is what happens when Orlando is in system. Michaela White seeing that block, seeing the open hole in the block, swinging over the block and running a behind set.
Off speed and to the floor. Smart shot by Columbus.
And I've said it before, but it's one thing as a middle to be able to bang balls. It's another thing to see the open court so well and know exactly when to take a little bit off of it. Caitlin Horde only had 1 year of pro experience under her belt, but she's an elite college athlete, and we can see how experienced she is here.
Both teams are feeding the middles into great success. That's another kill for Michaela White, who goes by MK here in Orlando. White, who previously played in Finland, Italy, and Romania. There's Cooper. Courtney Lush couldn't track that one down in the corner.
Wow, that was such an athletic move from Jill Gill. Off of the pass, didn't want to set it out of system, said, no, it's okay, I'm going to take care of it myself. Pushes that tip deep down the line.
18-15 Valkyries. Out of the middle, there's Asia O'Neal.
I do think it's important to note how cool Asia O'Neal's and how inspiring Asia O'Neal's story is. She underwent 2 open heart surgeries, the most recent in 2020, and then battled back to be a national champion and to be where she is today. It's so incredibly impressive.
Yeah, she got the news from her cardiologist due to a mitral valve leak that she had been dealing with for some time, that it resurfaced in 2019 and that it wasn't safe for her to play volleyball anymore. Her response was, can I at least finish the season? She finished the season, had a great year. Texas had a great year, getting all the way to the regional round of the NCAA tournament. And then she had open heart surgery, as you mentioned. Here she is operating again, trying to test that block. And the rest, as they say, is history. Solved the problem. They won a couple of national championships, and here she is.
Yep, her story is so incredibly inspiring. She never gave up. She loves the sport of volleyball.
So too does Jill Gillen, and a lot of folks love Jill Gillen. Orlando getting the full Jill Gill experience. So too is Columbus. They've seen enough, and they've called timeout. We want to remind you that the next match up on the docket, Grand Rapids taking on the Atlanta Vibe this Sunday, the 18th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Top 2 teams in the Federation early on going to battle once again. Cooper going back to work at the pin. That's a great looking swing. Got the kill off the touch. Number 8 in red now heading to the back row.
It was a really good set by the libero as well. Out of system set, but she led Cooper nicely. Cooper had that momentum and all her approach leading into that swing.
Razor thin margin for error here if you're Columbus. Orlando now in that vaunted red zone. For those unfamiliar, the last 5 points of any given set generally referred to as the red zone. And so now with that service error, the Valkyries closer to that ever important 25-point mark. Right side attack, that's down for the kill. Samantha Drexel.
Drexel at Washington. She played at Maryland, she played at Washington. She's a 2-time AVCA All-American, a 3-time All-Pac-12 selection, and then at Washington, she's got the 6th most kills in program history. Very impressive collegiate run by her.
Just shy of 1,500 career kills, in fact, for Drexel, 1,490 to be specific. That serve missing the sideline for Ivania Ortiz. And Orlando edges ever closer. They're going to sub in Carly Scott for Kaz Brown. Scott, a player who played her college volleyball at Michigan, then had a year of beach volleyball at Pepperdine, played a year of pro indoor volleyball in Europe, decided it wasn't her thing, decided to go to the AVP, and now here she is with an opportunity in the Pro Volleyball Federation, coming back indoors, and that ball coming right toward Jill Gillen, too hot to handle, and a side out for Columbus.
Coach Perez called Reagan Cooper a diamond in the rough. We see her there with the perfect pass on serve receive, and she gets rewarded and gets the kill.
Tell you what, that diamond's had plenty of sparkle through the first couple of sets in this one. Columbus trimming the lead down to 3, 22-19 Orlando. Anai in transition. That ball dug back over to the Valkyries. Second effort now for Anai, tip back. Back row attack. Cooper once again. Anai, kept up by Leone. Courtney Lush had it rejected, but out of play.
And when speaking with Coach Perez before the game, he said a big emphasis for his team is going to be shutting down Adora Anai. Of course, she's coming off of 26 kills this last match. She's the hot hands right now, but he said in order for them to win, they're going to have to shut her down. We saw 2 blocks and 1 dig off Anai in that one play. They're definitely placing an emphasis on her tonight.
Timeout by Orlando, the lead down to 2. Things tightening up here at the end of the second set in the City Beautiful. 2-point lead for the Valkyries in this second set as they tried to knot this matchup at the intermission. The Columbus Fury winning the first set in franchise history here in set number 1 at Edition Financial Arena. They were swept by Grand Rapids to get their season started. Just the second match in the entire Federation's history 3 weeks ago. They're looking to win the first 2 here in Orlando, and that's going to be another point for Columbus. An illegal back row attack by Orlando. And all of a sudden, we've got a whole new second set. The Valkyries were looking like they might run away with it, and now all of a sudden, the Fury are back within a point. Rai Santos back to serve. It comes in short. And I had to wait on that set, and that'll be a lift by Anai. My goodness, all of a sudden, this second set has changed completely.
And I like that serve from Santos, targeting Adora Anai, moving her around on the reception and hoping that that will lessen her effectiveness on the attack, and it pays off.
22 up in set 2. Gillen, bad pass, and a free ball now to Columbus. They've got a chance to take the lead right here. Back row attack, Cooper dug up by Murphy. What an up! Both ways, what an up. Courtney Lush doing the honors for Columbus. Oh, the free ball passed right back over. Lush stuffed!
What a way to end a long rally. Michaela White getting there. First of all, the defense from Columbus, from Santos right there, was absolutely incredible. A quick twitch dig, getting her hands up there, but then Michaela White sealing off that net, doing exactly what she's supposed to do as a middle blocker.
Columbus calls timeout with Orlando leading it now by 1. That is the Fury's second here of this second set. Boy, this has been a fun one here through the first set, and now nearly 2 at Edition Financial Arena.
NCAA women's volleyball will never be the same. Students of the game will study this era for generations. But we're only getting started. Sign up for pre-sale, news, and more at ncaa.com/volleyball.
Every step of the way.
Speeding toward the conclusion of set number 2. Who is going to win it? Will it be Columbus going on the road and winning the first 2 sets before the intermission, or will it be Orlando knotting things up? We're about to find out. Wilma Rivera cross-court serve. Drexel off the block, played up by Murphy. Anai to the floor.
Great, powerful cross-court swing by Anai. Georgia Murphy, firstly controlling that ball. She does the little things well. She's very technically sound, passing that ball right to her setter. It's one thing to have those flashy digs, but it's another thing to control that first pass with consistency. And Wilma Rivera, don't mind me, get yourself an ace, perfectly placed in between 2 serve receivers.
Wilma Rivera says, I don't care about what stories you're trying to tell. I call set 2, 25-22. And just like that, we are knotted up. 1 set apiece at the intermission here at Edition Financial Arena.
Our day has dawned.
A new horizon is upon us.
Inspired by the many who came before us, together on a path to achieve something extraordinary.
Do you hear the groundswell? We are at the forefront of a revolution. Empowered, inspired, together. We didn't get here alone.
This is our responsibility. We are creating a new major league on the greatest stage volleyball has ever seen. Pro Volleyball Federation is real pro volleyball.
Now is our time.
Communities will come together.
History will be made.
We are one.
Today, we are inspired.
Today, the light shines on us,
Today marks the beginning of the next chapter.
and we're writing it together.
It's an iconic kind of night here in Orlando as we take a look at Icon Park. Close to downtown Orlando, a handful of miles away from where we are at Addition Financial Arena on the campus of UCF. What a great match it's been. We went beyond 25 in set one, Columbus winning at 27-25, and then Orlando hanging on to win set two, 25-22. Sean Davison, the beach volleyball All-American at Florida State, Madison Fitzpatrick, breaking down what we saw through the first couple of sets here, and there's a lot to digest, Madison.
There is absolutely a lot to digest. It's been very tightly contested throughout the first two sets. Columbus has been led by Reagan Cooper's 11 kills. She's hitting at a clip of 560, which is a really high efficiency from the pins. The defense, led by Leon, has been keeping the Fury in system, and Santos, with all 9 years of that pro experience behind her, has been smart and timely. I have loved the fight from the Fury, and the growth that we've seen from their first match to their second match has been absolutely incredible. Here we see Reagan Cooper running from the back row and the front row. She can hit from every single area of the court. She's been the leader of the offense so far here tonight.
Columbus winning the first set, Orlando responding with plenty of firepower of their own, Madison.
Exactly. On the Valkyries side, we've seen Kaz Brown terminating on those slides. She's got 7 kills. Jill Gill with 5 kills of her own. Adora Nye with 6 kills, and MK White also with 6. Wilma Rivera finished the set with an ace, which is something we've seen her do a few times before. But I love the way Wilma Rivera has been spreading out her offense. When they're in system and they run Kaz Brown from that slide, they've been very efficient. It's been a fun 2 games to watch. Here we see a Nye cranking that ball so sharp cross court. And they are taking advantage of the open seam, hitting high over the libero. And let's finish it off with MK White running behind the setter. A quick swing over the hands of the blocker.
As we take a look at some of the numbers, 26 kills apiece. Orlando with the edge in the block department, also in the ace department. Receiving the ball a little bit cleaner, but also in terms of attacking the ball, a few more errors than Columbus has made.
Exactly. The major difference here for me has been the blocks. They've been timely. They've been led by Kaz Brown. And then Orlando did clean up their service errors. They had 8 in set 1, and then in set 2 they had half of that. So that obviously made a big difference as well.
One thing that stood out to me, Madison, the middle attack for Orlando, Michaela White, 6 kills on 8 swings. Kaz Brown, 7 on 10, something we'll definitely want to keep an eye on moving forward here as the intermission continues at Addition Financial Arena on the campus of UCF. I finally found out. back here in Orlando as the intermission continues. We'll take a look at the standings, and Atlanta off to a flying start, 4-1. Grand Rapids 2-1. The lone loss for Atlanta was to Grand Rapids. They will meet once again. Omaha seemingly riding the ship. Orlando looking to go 2-2. Vegas lost here in Orlando but beat Omaha. Columbus in their second match ever, and then San Diego 0-2 to get things started here in this inaugural Pro Volleyball Federation season. Madison, what stood out to you as we've taken in matches all across the league to this point?
I mean, obviously the level of play has stood out to me. We've had longer rallies that have been going on for possibly upwards of a minute. And of course, we're going to see longer rallies and faster plays and better defense, because each of these teams is comprised of All-Americans and Olympians and national champions. And we have kids, players on the bench who have been All-Americans. These teams have so much depth to them, and that's definitely contributing to the high level of play we've seen so far throughout these weeks.
We want to remind you one more time of what's on the docket. I mentioned that Grand Rapids and Atlanta played already. Rise beating the Vibe. They're going to play each other once again, and as early as Sunday, February 18th, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. The Rise and the Vibe coming at you again on the 18th. Also, set 3 here in Orlando coming at you, and a whole lot quicker than Sunday at 4. It's maybe a minute, if that, away. We're knotted up at 1. 2 very tight sets. Columbus winning set 1, 27-25. Orlando responding by winning set 2, 25-22. So we're essentially where we started, and now it's best 2 out of 3 from here. First to 25, win by 2 to claim sets 3 and 4 if we get there. First to 15, win by 2 to claim set 5, and of course also the match. Sean Davison, Madison Fitzpatrick, our entire crew here on hand as the Valkyries take on the Fury. It'll be Michaela White going back to serve to get this set started. So Amy Pauley shifting the rotation, same personnel, but not starting with Wilma Rivera back there this time.
Giving the other team a different look, posing a different kind of threat, changing up the combinations a little bit. I like that move.
Service error, though, by White to get things started. That's actually how set 1 started, with Wilma Rivera back to serve. An early service error by Orlando. That'll send Caitlin Horde back to serve. And that's an ace!
Something that made that serve so good and lethal was how flat it was. Very flat to the net, floating down the line. And when it's flat like that, it drops really quickly. And you know it's a good serve when you're acing the libero, which is the best passer on the team.
Out of the middle, there's Kaz Brown.
That's Kaz Brown on a 3 set. It's a gap set. She's getting space away from the setter, opening up that block. And you see her there, the one-on-one situation, taking advantage, swinging away from Asia O'Neal.
Shaina Joseph back to serve. That's an overpass, and Brown puts it down.
And that's exactly what Brown was supposed to do in that scenario. You don't mess around with it. You put that ball away. That is your job to man the net. She's got such good control of that net right now.
Yeah, a couple of things that coaches love to see their team do. Attack the free ball, attack the overpass. There's a tip by O'Neal. Gillen laid out for the pancake, but Orlando wasn't able to get it across on 3 contacts.
And O'Neal is so elite. She always finds a way to score. She had 2 blockers right in front of her, but she saw the court very well and tipped to the open court.
And again, if you're just joining us, Asia O'Neal had ankle surgery a couple days before Christmas on December 23rd. So she was given a 4 to 6 week recovery timeline. Roughly 5 weeks into that, she's looked pretty good here today.
I would expect absolutely nothing less from the national champion.
Knotted up at 3 here in set number 3. Jill Gillen serves it in. There's Cooper, dug up by Murphy. An eye on the run. Another massive swing by Cooper out at the pin. She missed the sideline and is lobbying for a touch call. Her head coach, Angel Perez, wants to challenge that Orlando touch that ball at the net.
And Cooper seemed pretty confident coming down that Wilma Rivera did touch that ball. Immediately called a challenge.
Worth mentioning what can be challenged using this Bolt 6 technology. Whether a ball is in or out is not one of those, but block touches can be reviewed. And as you can see, courtesy of Bolt 6, another tremendous angle. There's 22 of them. In fact, there was, in fact, a block touch. That's a good challenge by Columbus and a reversal of the scoring decision. A 2-point swing, if you will, taken away from Orlando and given to the Fury. So instead of it being 4-3 Valkyries, it is now 4-3 Columbus. Cooper heads back to serve. Kaz Brown will head back to serve. Free ball opportunity for Orlando. Anai, dug up by Leon. Courtney Lush had it stuffed. And it's Wilma Rivera who goes up for it.
The tandem of Wilma Rivera and MK White over there, they've been really dynamic and solid from a blocking standpoint. MK White does a good job at getting to her and closing that block almost every time.
Both teams employing a 5-1 system where the setter does rotate to the front row. It's different from that 6-2 that we see a lot in the NCAA where the setter is always in the back row. A lot of that due to a limited number of subs. So you only have 8% here in the Pro Volleyball Federation, more than what you get in international competition. That's 6, not including the libero, but in the NCAA it's 15. Orlando's on a bit of a run. They lead it by 2. Lots of tips at the net. Columbus covers and rejects the Valkyries. Point Fury.
And Asia O'Neal read that ball perfectly, dove her arms into the angle, read the shoulder of MK White, and successfully got the block straight down. She has such good vision.
Still a 1-point lead for Orlando in this third set. Asia O'Neal, the first overall draftee in the Pro Volleyball Federation draft. Shaina Joseph hangs and hits, but is dug up. Wow, that's a seam seeker right there. Drexel with a gem of a swing.
And there we see Drexel getting involved. She hasn't been set too much, but here, out of system play, she's got a heavy hand, and you really see the snap on that ball, putting it in between 2 players and down.
Wilma Rivera calls her own number. Kept up by O'Neal. An eye off the block. Santos calling her own number. Both setters attempting to dump on second contact. This time out at the pin. And Orlando responds with a pin attack of their own. Adora Anai puts it down.
And when that set is quick and it's to Adora Anai's shoulder, she takes advantage. She's been it seemed like a little off balance that first set, but that one perfectly right in the honeypot, swung perfectly, snapped on it. And I also love how involved the setters are being in the front row. They're both very offensive minded. It's been really fun to watch.
Adora Anai, for her part, though, Madison, she makes it look easy, and I know it's not easy, but Amy Pauley agreed with us when we talked with her previously. She actually went so far as to jokingly call it annoying what Adora Anai can do.
She's got this kind of calmness, this stoic calmness that's really incredible to watch. She's very steady, and she's also really smart. She'll drill it into the deep corner, and then she'll throw in a tip. She keeps the defense on their toes, and she's difficult to get a read on. And you're right, she makes it look easy, all in the process.
Columbus gets the side out, though. We're knotted up at 7. Shaina Joseph off the block. Santos keeps it up. Out of system ball now to Drexel. And Drexel just hammers that out of system ball to the floor. Boy, that is so important at the opposite spot, being able to effectively hit the out of system ball.
That's exactly the emphasis that Coach Perez put on this match. He says the right-siders are going to have to be efficient if they're going to win this game, and they're also going to have to man those really electric outsides of Orlando.
Yeah, Orlando's outsides still have gotten theirs, but if you're a fan of the Fury, you're liking what you're seeing out of your opposites. They're holding their own. Anai decides she's just going to tip it, and that is enough for number 14 in white.
And she comes in, her approach is a little wonky, but she gets her feet there. And she's got 2 blocks on her, but they're not lined up. They didn't dive their arms into that angle and take away that angle tip she did.
Short serve off the float. Back row attack, that's Cooper. Gillen hangs and hits.
And people in the audience, I can hear them go boom whenever she hits, because it is like a boom. She puts her entire body, this is a great angle of her approach. She puts her entire body into that swing. It's like a full body crunch. Her legs are flying everywhere. She gives her all to every single hit.
Back set, Courtney Lush had it rejected, dug it back out of the net. Cooper plays it up. Joseph swinging away. This time the off-speed roll. Gillen starting to feel it here in set 3.
And I just talked about Gillen's approach and how that allows her to have all of that vertical, but here she's off balance. She doesn't even have much of an approach, but it's all in the bend of the legs and the swing of the arms that allows her to get so high.
Jill Gillen, second all-time in kills at Arkansas, tops at Arkansas in aces, also top 5 in digs. Just the consummate professional as a Razorback and carrying that here today. Service error gets the point back to Columbus, but wow. What a lightning strike by Gillen here. Columbus had the block ready. Orlando keeps it up though. Point to the Valkyries. And Michaela White goes back to serve. Back set, Drexel. And Gillen runs out of room.
It's that heavy arm swing by Drexel which makes her so effective out there on the right side. She swings through that ball, hits high off the hands of the block, and with all that power behind it, it was a good block touch. It just wasn't in control.
We mentioned earlier Drexel's accolades at the University of Washington, was also on the collegiate national team out in Anaheim during her collegiate career. I believe Orlando was in the net there.
And that was a good out-of-system set by Megan Courtney Lush, and I've got to get some props to her. I think people need to know this. She had a baby only 6 months ago. She is a true competitor. Really cool story from her, and she's out here playing like an absolute boss tonight. I just have to give some props to her.
Yeah, Courtney Lush, who, as you mentioned, had a child just a handful of months ago, got food poisoning in Grand Rapids, was incredibly sick, and now here she is seeing her first action, and she's done a nice job tonight.
The epitome of the league is what Coach Perez called her.
Also called her the captain of the team, and so far Columbus has done a good job hanging with Orlando as, boy, Sarame's serve, well, let's just call it a service error and move on.
Yep, like I said before, it has to be perfect. The toss has to be perfect. The approach, the arm swing, high risk, high reward.
Drexel does the honors. Meanwhile, for Columbus, there's a back row attack. Point, though, to Columbus. I think that's an illegal back row attack. I think and I launched ahead of that 10-foot line.
Yep, so for those at home who don't know volleyball, if you take off in front of that 10-foot line, it's a legal back row attack. You have to take off, jump while you're behind it.
Oh, nice set. Oh, man.
Jill Gill loves a one-on-one situation. Kaz Brown holding Asia O'Neal on her, freeing up the pin a little bit there. And you see Jill Gill taking advantage, swinging down the line and off the hands.
And that was a tight pass, too. Wilma Rivera made the absolute most of that. Gillen goes back to serve. It's an overpass. Joust at the net. Rivera tried to put it down. Cooper. Played up by Sarame. Anai cross court.
Adora Anai will never cease to amaze me. You're right, she does make it look easy. She's very quiet out there, but she terminates at such a high level. Wilma Rivera getting her feet there, setting that ball from behind the 10-foot line, and then Adora Anai terminating that ball.
Courtney Lush plays that ball up. There's Cooper. Big swing dug up by Gillen. Nice up by Jill Gill. Same thing back the other way for Columbus. Cooper, second effort. No call yet. Point Orlando.
Columbus is doing a good job at recycling that ball. They're giving themselves a lot of chances, just not able to terminate. Cooper catching that ball a little low and not able to snap on top of it to put it down.
Well, that'll take us to the midway media timeout here in set number 3. The homestanding Valkyries leading it 15-13 in the City Beautiful.
NCAA women's volleyball will never be the same. Students of the game will study this era for generations. But we're only getting started. Sign up for pre-sale, news, and more at ncaa.com/volleyball.
Back here in set number 3, where the fans are flexing at Edition Financial Arena, and the Fury and the Valkyries are trying to flex here in the City Beautiful. It's been a great match to this point. 2 very tight sets, and it looks like we're on our way to a third tightly contested one. What more could you ask for at the professional level? We've seen both teams bring in players who have yet to see action. We've seen some quality plays by both sides. We've seen a handful of service errors and some moments that each side would like back. So goes life. Such is life. We're just glad to be here. Sean Davis and Madison Fitzpatrick, our entire crew on hand here in Orlando, Florida. There's a service error by Jill Gillen straight out of the media timeout midway through set 3. That'll bring Columbus back within a point. The Fury winning set 1 27-25. Orlando responding by winning set 2 25-22.
That would be Orlando's 4th service error of the set. If they can keep it there, that's not that bad. It's whenever they get into the 8 range that we really see the struggle.
Speaking of serving, Ivania Ortiz will head back to serve. Great first ball contact there by Murphy. She also covers that block. Anai swinging away from the pin. On the slide, there is Kaz Brown.
And it's almost like you can really tell when a player wants it. She is running with so much purpose, calling for that set. It's so quick, and then she's sneaking it really fast down the line with a fast arm swing. Courtney Lush not able to dive her arms into that line.
It's a tight pass, and Santos just back tips it across the net. Wow, that was cool.
That was absolutely incredible. She has such solid court awareness. You know, she was named the best setter of the Puerto Rican League in 2022 and 2017. So she's been very good for a very long time, and that's the sign of a good setter. They're also offensive-minded when they're in the front row.
And there's a lot of tremendous volleyball being played in the Puerto Rican League, and so for Santos to come away with that honor a couple of times as recently as you mentioned, a couple of years ago, says something about her. Anai had it rejected with emphasis, but just too much mustard on that one. That ball flies well out of play, so credit Anai for tooling the block, and Orlando now reestablishes a 2-point lead. Shaina Joseph will sub in for Paula Sarame, as Sarame, who's one of the libero options here for Orlando, would have rotated to the front row. Rivera, that serve is long.
It's kind of hard with all of these missed serves to get into any kind of rhythm. Both teams back and forth, back and forth. It's been such a battle, and neither team breaking away yet at this point.
Gillen on serve, receive. Pin to pin set to Shaina Joseph. A pin to pin back set.
Wilma Rivera is elite, and that's to put it lightly. Getting her feet there and then pushing it all the way to the pin, all the way to Shaina. The middle block was just a little late to close, and that's Shaina Joseph's bread and butter, sharp into that seam.
Adora Anai goes back to serve. Nice pass, and that's good offense there by Columbus. You can see the value of an in-system ball going straight to the hands of the setter. Opens up the offense and opens up that middle attack. Cord puts it down in a hurry.
Exactly. Then the setter has all of her options open, and it really makes the opposing block hold.
Middle attack, back the other way. Orlando sets MK White.
We've got a little middle attack battle back and forth, and that is a testament to the back row. Adora Anai with that perfect 3 pass, perfectly opening up the offense. Wilma Rivera could have gone anywhere.
White rotates to the back row to serve it in. Ah, that's another seam shot by Drexel. She's really starting to feel it here in set number 3.
Yeah, we talked about all of her accolades in college, and I can 100% see why. She's extremely powerful, and then she has a lot of range. Here, deciding to go down the line and deep, just to the right of MK White, is perfectly placed.
2 kills and 4 digs against Grand Rapids, has exceeded that here in this set alone. That's a service error. Maria Schlegel.
Sometimes it is hard to come off the bench. You're a little cold. You're coming in to serve. Makes it a little difficult, a little more difficult than if you were in the gameplay and you were still warm.
And there's an ace.
That serve floating and moving all the way up until it touched Reagan Cooper's platform. Reagan Cooper not able to track it because there was so much movement on that float serve.
That is a big swing of momentum off a couple of serves, an error and an ace, and just like that, Orlando opens up a 3-point lead in set 3 at Edition Financial Arena.
NCAA women's volleyball will never be the same. Students of the game will study this era for generations. But we're only getting started. Sign up for pre-sale, news, and more at ncaa.com/volleyball.
Three-point lead for the Valkyries here in Orlando. A pivotal set 3. Somebody's going to have a chance to win this in the 4th set. Somebody's going to have to force a 5th. And what it would mean for Orlando at home to be the one in the commanding position. They're 4 points away from having that opportunity. Shaina Joseph, though, misses the sideline, so she follows up the ace with an error, the lead down to 2.
And that's what we call icing the server. Coach Perez, that was a timely timeout. He did that on purpose. He wanted to ice the server, and he was successful.
Back row attack, that's an eye. Stuff block, Kaz Brown.
Kaz Brown has the ability to completely fire up her team and shift the tide. You see her there timing it perfectly, pointing her palms towards the good dig by Columbus. They're keeping themselves alive for a long time, but there's nothing they can do about that one.
Really nice pass there. No touch. That swing just errant.
I think that set just a little too far outside. Cooper trying to go down the line with it, but she didn't cut it off soon enough.
4-point lead for Orlando, just 2 away from the third set. Jill Gillen back to serve. Santos calls her own number. An eye off the block. Cooper! Wow, what a swing!
That's one of the powers that Asia O'Neal has. She ran a slide. She was in the air. So we're going to see Kaz Brown go with her. She was expecting the set, leaving Cooper for a one-on-one situation. Wilma Rivera up there, not diving her arms into that angle and taking away that cross court.
Lead down to 3. Cooper serves it in. Back set, Brown. An eye. Dug up by Leon. And the point goes to the Valkyries.
Great dig by Jill Gillen, who we said before has a lot of experience as a 6 rotation player, played 6 rotations at Arkansas, led her team to an Elite 8. She looks very comfortable on defense.
Set point. And jammed up on serve receive. Gillen back row off speed. Columbus tested the block and came away with nothing. Orlando, though, wins set 3. So the Valkyries drop set 1. They win the next 2. They can win the match in 4. We'll find out if they can after these messages.
Let's go celebrate now. Let's go.
We welcome you back to Orlando, where the homestanding Valkyries have surged back after dropping set 1 27-25 to win sets 2 and 3, 25-22 and 20 over the visiting Columbus Fury. The Valkyries trying to get to 2-2. The Fury trying to also even their record at 1-1. This fourth set, a must-win set for the Fury. We couldn't be more thrilled to have you along for the ride here with us. Sean Davison, Madison Fitzpatrick. Madison, what are your thoughts on what we've seen to this point?
Yep, so in set 3, I think the difference maker was Orlando hit more efficiently. They hit at a clip of 3-2, whereas Columbus was hitting at a clip of 1-8. Columbus's defense is giving them chances, but their offense isn't terminating efficiently enough. Columbus has 51 digs. They're out digging Orlando. They have 51 digs, and Orlando has 43. So their defense is putting in a lot of work. In set 2, we saw Columbus come alive a little bit with more efficiency as far as offense is concerned. So if they're going to win set 4, they're going to need to up that number.
Their head coach, Angel Perez, said that was one of his takeaways from the straight sets loss to Grand Rapids. They had opportunities, just weren't coming away, cashing them in offensively. Orlando wins that first point. Funky though it looked, bouncing around. I think it even hit Asia O'Neal's head.
That's volleyball. Sometimes it catches you in weird places. It did. She covered herself. It bounced off her head.
That'll send Shaina Joseph back to serve. Going back to that point I was making about Coach Perez, I think they've seen those signs of growth, but to your point, still some room to grow.
Exactly, and it is early in the season. We've got a long way to go. This is a marathon. This is not a sprint. And Coach actually did say that the success of their team isn't if they win or lose. They set a handful of goals each game, and if they achieve them, then winning or losing comes second in importance. They measure their success by accomplishing their individual and team goals, and I do appreciate that he said that.
Columbus is challenging whether or not Valeria Leon got her hand underneath that ball that was called down by our up referee here this afternoon, Brianna Spain.
Yep, it grabbed the floor before. I mean, she was so close. If her hand was just 2 inches a little more forward. But such great technology. It takes away the subjectivity of the call, and it's quick. It's almost immediate.
Yeah, these calls coming in from a command center in Frisco, Texas. So if you watch college volleyball and you're familiar with seeing the down referee, in this case Stephanie McClarty, going to a monitor to come away with the decision, that does not happen here in the Pro Volleyball Federation. It's a much quicker, much more seamless process. Again, courtesy of Bolt 6, just tremendous technology, 22 high-def cameras all around arenas in the Pro Volleyball Federation. It's the same technology used in the Olympics, the Olympic qualifiers, and of course also in the VNL, which is another premier league. It's an international league. So just high-level stuff for high-level volleyball, as it should be here, as we get set to get back underway here in set number 4. Shaina Joseph waiting to do the honors. It's already been determined that that ball was out of the reach of Valeria Leon, which, while we got a moment to talk about Leon, all-out effort to get to that ball. Tremendous libero, a member of the Puerto Rican national team for a number of years, and also we found out a full-time lawyer.
I mean, that is one of the most incredible facts I have heard about an athlete in a very long time. It's a full-time job to be a professional athlete, and the fact that she can add on such an elite extra job is so incredible. It's just a testament to who she is as an athlete and a person.
Yeah, so she's working her law job remotely while she gets back to work in pro volleyball. A lot of really tremendous stories. And Adora Anai, frankly, is offering one of her own. One of the best to ever play volleyball at the University of Utah. Tremendous career internationally in various pro clubs. Now back in the spotlight in the U.S. and soaking up every bit of it. One-handed dive. What an effort just to keep that ball up. Brown tests the block. Gillen off the block. That's Gabby Blossom checking in, keeping a ball up and rejecting a ball. So welcome to the match, Gabby Blossom. Now the back set to O'Neal. Orlando covers ground, a Nye hitting the deck. What a rally. Big swing at the pin by Janasia Moore. And that misses the end line. Point Orlando. It's all Valkyries early on.
Moore going for that end line, swinging high and deep, just a few inches out. Moore is one of those players that is coming from college, got picked up last in the draft, had a really solid last season at Tennessee.
Yeah, started her career at Ohio State, then went to Tennessee, was an all-SEC player last year, hit north of 300. That's a nice swing. There's a much-needed kill for the Fury.
And it's really advantageous to have Cooper, who is such a solid back row attacker, back there and an option because Blossom is in the front row, so she's only got 2 front row attackers there. Reagan Cooper makes herself an option and runs that quick back set.
Gillen off the block. Columbus keeps it up, but in digging it out of the net, there was a double contact there. Point Orlando.
Leave it to Jill Gillen to feel those 2 blockers in front of her and to just power through it. Double contact there. It doesn't look like they're happy about it, though. They're talking to the ref.
Now, a double contact is not something that can be reviewed, so Columbus is pleading their case, but we will get back underway with Orlando leading at 5-1 nonetheless. Gillen serves it in. Moore. Murphy with the back bump to a Nye, tipping it. My goodness, what a crafty shot by Adora Anai.
It is so difficult for the defense to get a read on Anai because sometimes she's not even looking where she's attacking that ball. It's almost like an over-the-shoulder drop shot. She has such good court awareness, she's not even looking at it, and she finds the open floor with such ease.
Quick set to the middle, and Orlando had that sniffed out. Nowhere to go for Horde. Kaz Brown and company were ready and waiting.
That was kind of like a trap set. She had both of those blockers just waiting on her. Right there was really nowhere for Horde to go.
And with that, Columbus has seen enough. They call it timeout. A must-win 4th set. They trail it by 6. (7-1) Orlando in set number 4. If you're a fan of the Valkyries, this is the kind of start to what could be a decisive set that you would have hoped to see.
And if you're Amy Pauley, this is exactly how you want your team to respond. This is exactly how you want them to come out. The net defense has been effective, and they've been really efficient on offense. Everything seems to be working right now for the Valkyries.
It's an overpass. Anai on the run. The full repertoire of Adora Anai on complete display in this 4th set.
The Pro Volleyball Federation Player of the Week. I mean, and is there any question why? Not even her normal approach, getting her feet there, jumping off 1 foot, and then dropping that thumb, slicing that ball cross court.
I want to go back to something that Amy Pauley told us about Adora Anai. I think this is really poor timing to be lathering on the compliments on Adora Anai. Great job there by Columbus on the stuff block. I'm going to talk about Anai anyway, though, Madison. It's the value of having an athlete on the floor. She played, by Adora's own count, some in the neighborhood of about 4 or 5 sports in high school. There's plenty of volleyball players who only play volleyball. Anai played a whole lot of everything, and that athleticism has served her well.
Exactly. You know, you hear people a lot of the time say you should play multiple sports growing up. It helps. It helps your volleyball game to play multiple sports. And then when you become old enough, then you select volleyball and you go all in. But she's obviously an athlete.
Orlando's got a team full of really good ones, and that lead continues to swell. Now 8 points, 10-2 Orlando. And I think we're going to have a video review. No doubt that ball was out. You can't challenge whether it's in or out to begin with anyway, so I'm going to imagine this has to be a block touch. Interestingly enough, you can challenge a block touch, but not whether or not somebody else touched it. So the only touches that can be challenged are the block touches, Madison.
Well, that is actually very interesting, and that's good for all the viewers out there to know. Let's take a look at it here. From my point of view, it doesn't look like she touched it.
Well, Bolt 6 says that it was a block touch.
Bolt 6 knows better than me. It is objective, and it's fast, and it's factual, and I'm sorry, Bolt 6.
And that's the reason why the Bolt 6 technology exists, and that's the reason why we have been heaping praise on it. Hard to pick out those calls with the naked eye, and Bolt 6 does a great job, and I'll tell you what, Wilma Rivera has done a great job here today. She calls her own number. She's done it a lot here today. This time it finds the floor for Orlando.
Exactly. It's her 3rd kill on about 6 attempts. She's 1 for 2 in that area, and she reads the situation very well and knows when the block is on her and takes advantage.
That time covering and doing a nice job of that. Blossom out to the pin. Cooper had it rejected. Second effort, Cooper, this time off the block and down. I really like Reagan Cooper, Madison.
I really do, and I do as well, and I see why her coach was singing her praises earlier. She's a smart player. That was a smart move, swinging high off the hands. The ball got recycled, she got another chance, and she took advantage of it.
Nice pass there by Murphy. Back row and Gillen, but the point goes to Columbus. It looked good, but
really
Gillen
did.
launched ahead of the 10-foot line.
And that's actually happened a few times. Wilma Rivera just leading her a little too much, and you see there her foot is crossing over the line when she's jumping. And you can't do that in volleyball, but it did look good. It's flashy.
It was perfect offense, if not for where her foot was. Look at Shina Joseph. Sharp angle quality dig there by Blossom. Murphy dug that one over the net, and that is easy pickings for Asia O'Neal. She put that down in a hurry, knew exactly what to do with it.
Exactly. She's very experienced as a middle blocker. You can tell she looks very comfortable. I got to give some credit, of course, to Gabby Blossom on that dig. Came into the game and made an immediate impact defensively and offensively.
Asia O'Neal, top 10 in Texas program history, not just in terms of blocking, but also in terms of career hitting percentage. Net violation there, and Orlando sides out. But great to see Asia O'Neal healthy and continuing a tremendous career at Texas. Her dad, Jermaine, a 6-time NBA All-Star with the Pacers. Great family, full of athletes. Shina Joseph, how about that angle?
And that's exactly what Coach is working with Shina Joseph on. She said she's got a lot of hang time. She likes to hang, wait, and then swing. But she's teaching her to speed up her arm, go for the deep corners, tip the ball, put some variety into it. Don't just swing into the seam every time, and she did it right there perfectly.
Short serve played up. Drexel tests the block. But Orlando comes away the victors in that occasion.
I've said it before, but volleyball is a game of momentum. And Orlando's got all of it right now.
No doubt about it, they lead by 7. Going to the short float serve here. They've been having trouble keeping those jump top spins in. And so how do you like that sort of shift to the equation by Orlando?
Exactly. I absolutely love that adjustment. That shows a lot of experience on their part. We've said this in other broadcasts, but we haven't said it yet. The Valkyries' 14-player roster has a combined professional experience exceeding 58 years. And that's a telltale sign of an experienced player. You're missing your serves, you take a little bit off of it, and you get smart with it.
Columbus is challenging a block touch here in this last point. So again, I think we've heaped a lot of praise on Bolt 6, and I think this is probably the best way to do it. Before we even got to the replay angle to show you what they were challenging, Bolt 6 has already made its determination, and we're back playing. That's incredible.
It's absolutely immediate.
Cooper dug up by an eye. Janasia Moore launching from the back row. Cooper trying again, dug up by Murphy. Back row, Anai off the block. Cooper. And now it looks like we're going to replay the point.
Yep, it's going to be a replay. Shaina Joseph on the ground and then up and not able to jump for that block. She's talking to the trainer now.
Certainly wish the best for Shaina Joseph, who is walking slowly back to the bench. I think Columbus is contesting that ball likely down anyway. They want the point to be in their favor regardless.
Boy, did Reagan Cooper rip on that ball.
Yes, she did.
She felt that Shaina Joseph wasn't up in the air, and she put her whole body snapped right on top of it.
Melissa Evans will check in, and we will, in fact, replay the point. Anai serves it in short once more. Cooper, this time out of the reach of Georgia Murphy. Anai, I think, got a hand underneath it initially, but dug it beyond the end line.
And that shows how much trust Blossom has in Cooper. Giving it back to her, giving her another chance to score. It's been all Cooper. She has been the hot pin tonight for Columbus.
Gabby Blossom really getting her first taste of professional volleyball. Did play in Athletes Unlimited, but just now a second-year pro. Of course, we've mentioned Cooper, fresh out of college. And there's Orlando siding out in a hurry. Melissa Evans, the prospect of NC State, gets on the board.
Welcome to the game, Melissa Evans, a two-time AVCA East All-Region, two-time first-team All-ACC, and she ranks third at NC State in kills.
Played for Lucas LeBay, who was longtime assistant coach of the women's national team. Also played college volleyball on the BYU men's team with none other than Columbus's head coach, Angel Perez. Won a national championship in 01, in fact, did the BYU Cougars. Back the other way, that's a missed connection there. Kaz Brown, I don't think, got it over the tape.
Yep, Kaz Brown catching that ball just a little too low. Maybe that set a little too low for her. Kaz Brown obviously has got a lot of height.
No problem there. Not at all. Kaz Brown hunting the sideline, found it.
And we talk about the setters trusting their attackers, and here's a perfect example. She goes right back to her, and I don't think that ball could paint that end line any better. Some great artwork by Kaz Brown.
Melissa Evans heading back to serve. Tight pass, and Orlando is there to put it down. Kaz Brown reasserting herself. She kept Orlando in that first set that they ultimately dropped, and now here she is putting the pedal to the metal once more.
She has the ability to turn the tides, put the team on her back, and push them forward.
She can absolutely dominate the net. And what a service rotation here for Melissa Evans, a player that Amy Pauley said, hey, they had some questions. She broke her ankle a couple of Decembers before joining the Valkyries. They were worried about her health. She came to the tryouts, and she quickly became a player that they said they could not take off the floor. She called her a natural, and here she is proving her head coach right. Out of the middle, there's Kaz Brown once again. Orlando just adding insult to injury at this point for the Fury.
And Kaz Brown there finding just the little bit of space in between that block. The timing was a little off in that block. They were on their way down when Kaz Brown was contacting that ball, and she took advantage.
Melissa Evans, a five-time All-ACC opposite with the Wolfpack at NC State. Her career just recently coming to a close. Asia O'Neal wants a touch call on the Valkyries. She won't get it. Another point to Orlando, who are within 5 of the match. Evans serves it in once more. Moore, dug up by Murphy. Evans back row attack! It's a Melissa Evans takeover.
And you have to love when a player comes in, they bring in a new energy, they make an immediate impact. And Melissa Evans is doing just that. Also, Wilma Rivera feeling that her outside pin and Jill Gill was on the floor, and therefore going behind to the back row. Really smart decision by the veteran setter.
Well, well, well. Evans and the Valks are closing in on going 2-2. Trying to win this one in 4 sets. We'll be back after these messages.
We gonna take it, 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 gonna take it,
It's party mode in O-Town as the Valkyries are within 4 points of winning the match over the Columbus Fury. They were challenged early. They dropped the first set, in fact, won 2 tight sets in sets 2 and 3, and this has just been an absolute blowout. Melissa Evans has been the hot hand here for the Valks in set 4 over the last sequence of points. Gracious Jill Gillen.
Jill Gillen in a one-on-one situation. Any pin hitter at a one-on-one situation is going to be terminal, but she has so much power behind that swing. She wants to kill every time. You can almost feel it from all the way up here.
Madison, she's hitting 420 to this point in the match.
Wow, and from a pin hitter, that's fantastic efficiency.
Moore will want a touch call. Will she get it? No.
I'm surprised that he didn't challenge that, but he did not, and we play on.
Evans is still serving. Murphy. Nice up. And there's Gillen tooling the block. And just like that, Orlando has multiple handfuls of match points.
And it's not just the offense that's working for Orlando right now. It's every single aspect of their game is firing on all cylinders.
Crowd to their feet. And there's a service error. What a tremendous run from Melissa Evans. Nobody's perfect. And alas, I guess Melissa isn't either.
And she had some room. There is some room to play with it there. She really went for it. Of course, it would feel good to have an ace on the final point.
Tip the cap to Melissa Evans, who came in and made her presence felt here in the fourth set. Here's Ivania Ortiz set to serve it in for Columbus. Gillen. Wow! Evans, what an up! Back row, there's Cooper once again.
Cooper deserves a lot of credit for this match. She only had 8 in match 1, and she is soaring to new heights in this match. She's got 19 on the night.
Evans, why not? And Orlando are now 2-2.
And look at the joy on Melissa Evans' face. This Orlando team is so much fun to watch. There are so many characters on this team. Great game by the Fury as well. Of course it went to 4 sets. All around an absolute battle from both teams.
Columbus proved tonight, I think, Madison, that they are heading in the right direction. In Orlando, this thing could have gone sideways early. They stayed together and they found a way.
Exactly. They fought through some adversity early on. They fought through some missed serves. There was a few too many errors at the very beginning, but you could tell they smoothed it out. They got more confident. They gained some momentum. And they took set 4, 25-11. That's a dominant set 4.
Absolutely it was. Orlando wins it in 4. We're going to step aside for a few moments, and then we'll come back to Edition Financial Arena to put a wrap on this match.
NCAA women's volleyball will never be the same. Students of the game will study this era for generations. But we're only getting started. Sign up for pre-sale, news, and more at ncaa.com/volleyball.
Our day has dawned.
A new horizon is upon us.
Inspired by the many who came before us, together on a path to achieve something extraordinary.
Do you hear the groundswell? We are at the forefront of a revolution. Empowered, inspired, together. We didn't get here alone.
This is our responsibility. We are creating a new major league on the greatest stage volleyball has ever seen. Pro Volleyball Federation is real pro volleyball.
Now is our time.
Communities will come together.
History will be made.
We are one.
Today, we are inspired.
Today, the light shines on us.
Today marks the beginning of the next chapter.
And we're writing it together.
Rally with us!
Back here in Orlando, where the Valkyries win it 3-1 over Columbus, 25-27, 25-22, 20, and 11. Sean Davison, the beach volleyball All-American at Florida State, Madison Fitzpatrick. Madison, your thoughts on what we saw here tonight?
Well, overall, I thought Orlando fought through some adversity early on, and then all aspects of their game lit on fire, and they were firing on all cylinders. Overall, they hit 3-1. And then Wilma Rivera spread out her offense so well. Jill Gillen, outside hitter, had 12 kills. Kaz Brown, a middle, had 12 kills. Adora Anai, the Pro Volleyball Federation Player of the Week, had 15 kills. They won the match in dominant fashion. Exclamation point kind of win for them here tonight.
I want to go to Columbus here for a second, Madison. They came in having only played one match and it didn't go well, I felt like they asserted themselves much better here tonight.
Exactly, they definitely did. Coach, at the beginning of this match, said he wanted his right sides to get involved. He wanted his pins to produce higher numbers. He wanted to involve the middle early on. They gave themselves a lot of chances on defense. Their defense was scrappy once again, and they controlled that first pass really well, and I think they took leaps and bounds from the first match.
Well, Madison, let's go ahead and take a look at the stats here tonight. Orlando with 56 kills to Columbus's 44, 7 more blocks, 4 more aces, cleaner reception, and then fewer errors as well.
Exactly, so it was just a little bit more of a cleaner performance from Orlando, and then we see the blocks. That was a huge aspect of the game. Michaela White and Kaz Brown, the middle for the Orlando Valkyries, they've been dominant all season long, but I feel like they've continually progressed and gotten more dominant as the season has progressed.
So Orlando wins it 3-1. One final thought from me on Orlando. They hit 500 in that fourth set.
Wow, that is termination at its finest. That is so incredibly dominant.
And one last thought as well. I want to offer a big thank you to the Beck Sports crew that's done a tremendous job traversing the entire country, bringing games to all of you at home, for welcoming Madison, you and I, to their crew. Big thank you to Brent, Brett, Jesse on the production side, our fantastic cameramen, Adam, Sean, Zaquan, and Jose as well. And so for all of them, for Madison Fitzpatrick, I'm Sean Davison. So privileged to sign off here from Addition Financial Arena, where Orlando goes 2-2 early on in PVF play, beating the Columbus Fury 3-1 here at Addition Financial Arena. Can't wait to see you next time. Have a great night, everybody.
From club or high school.